excuse me, on this fine Thursday afternoon. This is the Streets and Sidewalks Committee, and to my right is Councilman William Lutz. I am Bob Phillips, the chairman. And we've got 4 items for Streets and Sidewalks, and Mrs. Rhodes, you're going to advise us of all the staff reports?
Yes.
She might have something important to say here, so we might want to pay attention.
It's only about a game. Sorry.
Okay.
So yes, the first thing that is on the agenda is the Phase 9 sidewalk repair program. We are finishing that one up. So that one started back in 2016. The contractor actually performed the work in 17. We had one property to do at the beginning of 18. So now this is to the point that we're doing the ordinance of assessment. So we've finalized the assessments, we've done all the work, and we just need to pass the ordinance for the assessment. Then we send the property owners that we did the work for, we send them a letter saying, here's your total assessment. If you would like to pay it, you can pay a portion or it in whole by a certain date. And then if you don't, it'll be assessed on your taxes the following, like in February, you'll get the bill. It'll be due in February on your taxes. And it's split up into 10 equal payments. A total of 5 years is the assessment, if they so choose to do that. We had, I forget how many actual properties that were assessed, but I believe that you were previously given the list. There was probably 35, 40 residents, and it was for total of just over 122,000 for the assessments.
And the appeals, in case they wanted to dicker about the price of the work and that sort of thing, that has occurred?
That's just occurred, yes. So it was published 3 consecutive weeks in the newspaper, and then we gave them, per the regulation, the law, gave them an additional 2 weeks to object.
File their appeals.
Yep, file their appeals, and no appeals were actually received.
Excellent.
And that period ended last Friday.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. Okay. I don't have any questions on this. I've dealt with this many times, and I know that staff is very thorough in their stuff.
I've got no questions either.
Okay. Any other information on this particular item?
No.
Okay. Let's move right along. Do you want to take a...
They will individual, we'd like your recommendation. They will be individual items of a legislation,
Gotcha.
and there would be no emergency consideration for
On
this.
any of these?
Not on this one. I don't really
On
believe
any
on
of
any
these.
of
I
them.
don't think any of them.
No.
I didn't know. Well, anybody else in the audience have any comments, questions for staff or for this committee? All right, seeing none, Mr. Lutz, your pleasure.
Let's move forward, please.
Thank you. It's unanimous of the committee that's present to proceed as staff has recommended, and thank you for your work on that.
Okay.
Item number 2.
Item number 2 is similar situation, only with Phase 10. So Phase 10, actually, I kind of in the language describe where it's at. It's roughly below East West Street and kind of between South Market, and we're just progressively moving from the west, so right along South Market to the east. So it goes, Walnut, Mulberry, and then Crawford or Crawford Clay. I always
Clay
get them.
Crawford.
Clay Crawford. Okay, and so we're down in that area, and we had, I think, a couple more people that we actually are assessing. I think there's probably between 45 and 50 people that are on this assessment for a total of the 113,000, and so. It's the exact same thing, just asking for the ordinance of assessment. We kind of ran these 2 concurrently just because the process can be pretty hectic.
Okay, and again, all of the appeals processes and stuff and the ending date, was that the same?
Exactly the same.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions.
Let's move forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments about this particular item? Thank you. All right, now we'll unanimously concur with staff report on this and proceed as they're requesting for the committee members that are present.
Okay.
Item number 3.
Item number 3 is Fire Station 3 concrete drive replacement. So the fire department has, in I think at least 2, maybe 3 previous years. Sorry. 2, maybe 3 previous years has been cutting it off in sections, about $15,000 a piece. Well, because it is such a large area, and in order to get it all done because we were looking at probably 8, 9, 10 more phases. We suggested in the budget to get it done all as one phase. So we put a bid packet together. We have $110,000 in the budget. We do have some extra funds that we're not going to use out of 441 this year. And so the additional funds we request to come from from that fund. We're estimating at a cost not to exceed $135,000. So we are, $25,000 over what was budgeted, but we hope that we're anticipating that there's some fluff in there and that we get some good competitive bids. A lot of the bids that we've actually had this year have been competitive with a lot of contractors bidding on various projects. So I think the bidding environment's good. So we're hoping that comes in lower and kind of shaves off that difference. So we're asking for authorization to, from this committee to council to proceed with the bidding and the awarding of the contract.
So you're indicating that the addition, we had already in the 18 budget appropriated 110,000?
Yes.
In the fire
And-
department budget.
Yes. And the additional 25,000 you're saying was coming from fund number
441, which is
441.
capital improvement.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to do this just because of the police fire, the weight issue of why the concrete is breaking down. I just have to say that just because it's mandatory in our contract. So,
And actually, just to kind of provide you a little bit of explanation, actually, when they started pulling up the concrete's 5.5 inches. And so actually our standard for commercial drives is 8 inches.
Should have been.
And so that's what we're replacing it with. We're looking at ripping it out and putting in the 8 inches.
How old is this concrete?
The building was built in 95. It was built in 95, so 20, yeah,
It was built for the specs at the time. Is that correct?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right, very good. So, okay, no warranty issues or anything like that. I don't have any other questions, Mr. Lutz.
No, I have no questions.
Anyone in the audience have any comments from the fire department side? You guys would be happy with this. Nice shiny concrete. Mr. Mayor, you have nothing? No. Okay. Your pleasure.
Let's move forward, please.
Okay. It is unanimous with the committee that are present to proceed as staff is requesting and hopefully addressing this issue in a very positive fashion. And the fourth item.
Number 4 is switching to the next phase of sidewalks. So we got phase 9 and 10 done, and now this is the beginning of phase 11. So like I had mentioned earlier, kind of we're over in the Crawford, Walker, Racer Streets pretty far south. Einert, I'm going to say, I hope.
Inyard.
And Young Street, and I think there's another cross street, but that's kind of the area. And so this is, and there's actually maps attached. There's also South Market between Canal and Race. We were actually kind of waiting to see how redevelopment occurred there. And so 210 South Market's that same area as 210 South Market. We'd also heard an inkling like Troy Daily News, and so we were kind of holding off, but now we've determined it's a good time, let's go do it, get it done with, so that block. So we're requesting the resolution of necessity from council. Once that resolution of necessity is passed, the next step is for us to notify the residents. So we've been out there in previous weeks marking with white paint actually what needs to be repaired. So this is just a repair program. It doesn't replace, or it replaces and repairs just the broken sections. It doesn't replace entirely if it's not needed, nor does it fill in any missing gaps. So we're not adding sidewalk, we're just repairing in kind. And so the property owners will have until, so this notification that goes out, if and when this is passed, the properties will have until August 10th to actually obtain a permit if they want to do the work on their own. If by then they haven't done the work on their own, we will then proceed with including them in a bid that will come to council later for authorization to bid for that.
Do you have a number approximately at this early stage?
number of properties.
No, a total number in the budget.
We have, I
Target.
believe, $300,000 in the budget. We, right now, if we were to do all of them, we would be over budget, but we try to maximize our funds.
Right.
And typically, we can, in certain, there's a certain number of residents that do their own work. So we're anticipating, we try to get it as close as possible, to the 300, so we can maximize the fund, the phase, and move on to another part of the city.
Do we have any corners, ADA ramps and things like that we're doing in this?
So actually what we plan to do depending on funds from CDBG, we plan to do as many as we can in the CDBG. They're in the CDBG funds that we get allocated to us annually.
And there are no signal lights or any signage that's going to be affected by anything?
No signage.
But, yeah, okay, yes. It would be a sign only. There are no lights, no electronics or anything.
Correct, just sidewalk,
Got it,
just concrete.
okay.
And then the ADA ramps, if we don't have enough funds to get us through the CDBG funds.
Thank you. I don't have any further.
I guess my only other question is kind of on the program in itself. What parts of town haven't been touched yet?
Parts of town that haven't been touched is southeast side, so the Jeep Street, the Patton, the Race Drive, Scott Street, that area of town, kind of south and east of you, Bill.
So kind of like Canal
Yeah.
South,
East Canal, yeah.
East Canal South
Yeah,
there? Okay.
yeah, so Vectron's coming in, and so we're kind of waiting for Vectron to get in and get out, and so they have a significant amount of work to do down there, and then likewise with paving and everything, we're kind of waiting for Vectron to get in and get out. We've actually in previous years been doing some water main replacements down there, and then kind of at the end we'll, we're contemplating storm, but it seems to be working appropriately right now, and there's not a lot of storm outlets, so we're like, do we leave well enough alone? But then finish up with the sidewalk and the resurfacing.
Okay.
Okay?
And in this general area, kind of on topic, off topic, sewer relining, we're not doing anything in this general area, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, some of the sewer lines are in backyards of this particular area of town.
Caught
Is
me
that
off
correct?
guard. I'm not prepared to talk to
sorry.
the
Well,
sewer
it
relining.
didn't-
I apologize.
Well, no apology, because it just popped into my brain while we were discussing this.
Yeah, I'm not certain.
Okay,
I can't speak intelligently about
gotcha.
that.
Thank you. Anything else?
I have nothing else.
Anyone in the audience have any comments, questions? Okay. And your pleasure with this one?
Let's move forward.
Okay, got it. Again, the last item is the unanimous decision of the committee to proceed as staff is recommending. And none of the 4 items, again, were emergency.
Correct.
And any other things that have popped
No,
up
we
to
did
come
not have
before this
anything else
committee?
for you. We do appreciate you
Yes.
meeting
Thank
this
you.
late in the evening and towards the council meeting.
Well, I apologize for my slight delay in getting here, but it was out of my control, unfortunately. So,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Then the Streets and Sidewalks Committee is adjourned. Thank you
Thank
all
you.
for coming.